All right, guys, welcome back to another KevCAM night class tonight. I guess you would call it a Halloween edition. So much haunted that I think I've lost Tim Micah in here. Let's see if we can.
I am here if you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you. Perfect.
Oh, that's crazy. It is a Halloween episode.
Yeah.
It shows that I am being muted by the organizer, but I guess you can hear me. Can we hear any of the other attendees or no?
No, it looks like they're all muted for. Well, I guess a little technical difficulties for good old Halloween night, but well, at least we got Tim in here, so Tim will be helping out with any questions, concerns, or anything that pops up along the way, guys. And like I said, kind of little housekeeping stuff to go over here for everybody that. Oh, and Ronnie's telling me I need to share my screen. Thanks, Ronnie. There we go. Hopefully everybody is seeing it now.
I see it, Kevin.
Okay.
So you're doing good now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ronnie. So for those of you guys, I do see a couple new names in here. Jason, I love seeing you in here. We use GoToWebinar to do these night classes. Now everybody is muted right now, and that's just to eliminate any background noise. So if you guys do have questions, there is a questions panel that if you guys could just go ahead and type those in there, and we'll read them off to you and get those questions answered for you guys right away. No need to wait till the end. Ask away as you please, and we'll get you guys' questions answered right away. So I apologize for the night class being on Halloween. It kind of, when I was doing the schedule far out, I didn't even realize it was falling on this day. But for anybody that's interested, here's my kids in their Halloween costumes if anybody wanted to see. I got a Spider-Man and a Mickey Mouse, but okay.
Gosh, they're getting big.
Yeah, and some days not big enough. But no, I just want to welcome everybody to the night class tonight. These classes are solely dedicated for you guys. So if you guys do have ideas, please send those over to me. Email. We'll send you off some SolidCAM swag as a thank you. And for those of you guys that don't have my email address, I will put that into the chat for you guys. So everybody should see that in the chat. It's kevin.rankel@solidcam.com. For those of you guys that are viewing this on YouTube at a little bit later time, if you guys do have questions, don't comment on the YouTube channel just because I don't get around to checking that as much as my email. So my email will be in the description below the video of what my email address is. So send those questions over to me pertaining this topic or any other topics. We're here to help you guys out as much as possible. And kind of as we're going on YouTube phase here, I do have a channel. It's called SolidCAM University, or you guys can just type in KevCAM and it will bring you over. You should see my ugly mug pop up, and tons of content in here to really help out you guys. And one thing I kind of got realized is last week after I did my screw machining, I never posted the 3 to 5 axis conversion in there. So I uploaded that one for you guys too. So I apologize for everybody that was waiting for that one to come on YouTube. But definitely a lot of content in here. If there's something in here that you guys don't see, let me know. Or if there's something you guys want added in there, let me know. There's getting to be quite a few videos in here. I guess the best way to go through it is if you go to the channel right here and you do a search inside the channel. That's kind of what I found to be the best way to find that out. So, and I think William actually pointed out that I forgot to post this 3 to 5 axis. So thank you, William, for that. But tonight we are going to be covering port machining. Now, port machining is really great module, kind of specifically designed just for kind of doing ports at funky angles. The real nice thing about port machining, what it does is it takes into factor that, we're trying to get down as far as possible in here. So the 5-axis control is going to kind of take over all the control for you guys, kind of taking a lot of the guesswork out, and it's going to get that lollipop cutter in there as deep as it possibly can, and then we can come in from the other side and finish it off. Now, before I get kind of rolling too far ahead here, I want to kind of throw this out to all you guys that are watching right now. I can program this part live for you guys, or we can kind of go through it. The only thing is, if I program it live, there is a couple operations that take just a little bit longer to save and calculate, so we'll have a little bit of wait time there. So if you guys just want to type in right now, let me know if you want to do it live or just review what I've done over here. I'm more than happy, to go with whatever you guys are looking for here. But just let me know if you guys could just type in the chat area and if what you guys want to see. Review, don't mind just reviewing. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Review. Okay. No, that will work. So let me just go through and I'll just unsuppress these here for you. And so inside port machining it's extremely powerful module. Now, one thing that you want to kind of remember with port machining is port machining is only going to work with a lollipop cutter or a ball end mill. Any other cutters are not supported. Now, what you can do, and what I actually did on a different port part here, is I kind of came in there with some HSM, trying to get most of the material removed out of there with a flat end mill, and then came back. But I kind of wanted to focus more on the roughing strategy that we can do inside the port machining and the finishing strategy in here. And there is a lot in here. So I'll kind of get the ball started here. First page, not just picking your coordinate system, but at the top here, we have different strategies. So we can rough it. And inside roughing, we have two different strategies we can do. We can do offset cutting, which is kind of like pocketing. And we also have adaptive. Adaptive is going to be more like your eye machining. So it's going to do a morphing spiral. And then as it gets over into the corners, it's automatically going to kind of switch over to that DSOT tricoidal. So, which really is nice for if you guys have, maybe a smaller end mill or lollipop cutter that you want to get in there. You guys don't have to really mess with the, doing HSM. And to give you a good example, if I just open up this file right here, here's another port machining part. Now, I just want to kind of show you the difference between the offset cutting versus adaptive. So with this one right here, we're doing the adaptive or the offset cutting right here. And if I can get some straight down toolpath, you can kind of see, get this lined up a little bit as much as I can for you, kind of doing the traditional, just standard pocketing, kind of starting in the center and just slowly working its way out, taking its pass, moving over, working its way out like a traditional pocketing operation. Now, with the adaptive, there's a lot going on here, and just because we have a lot of toolpath, kind of shooting through the entire part here, but you can see we're doing a spiral, starting in the center and doing a spiral, working its way to the outside. But what it does, it takes into factor that once it hits, a more angle of engagement, it automatically switches over to that DSOT tricoidal, and you can kind of see it right here in the corners a little bit, kind of coming in there and doing that tricoidal movement in there. So that's the big difference between adaptive and offset cutting. Now, with the part that we're running right here, our ports are actually pretty small, taking into factor the size of our tool and whatnot here. So we really, adaptive or offset cutting really didn't make a difference for this particular toolpath, just because we didn't have a whole lot of material with the size of the ball end mill, or the lollipop cutter that we're using. So once you pick the strategy that you guys want to use, let me continue on with this. So we have roughing, then we can do a rest roughing. So we can start off with a larger end mill, come back and do a rest rough, and it's just going to clean up whatever the remaining stock was. We can do a spiral finish, and we'll be actually using this one, or we can do a plunge finish. Now, the plunge finish is going to be a little bit different than what you're kind of thinking of, just doing a kind of plunging it out, like what we've seen in pocketing. I think HSM also has some plunging features. What the plunge finishing is going to do is, instead of coming in here and doing, can I get zoomed in on this part for you? Instead of doing like a circular pattern, what it's going to do is it's going to do straight lines down, kind of working its way around, doing straight lines going through there. So it's kind of more of a long contour versus going around, if that makes sense for you guys. Now, the machine surfaces. Think of, we've been working with HSS, we've been working with 5-axis for the last few weeks here. Think of your machine surface as your drive surface. What surfaces do you want to cut? So for this particular one, what I actually did is broken this up into different surfaces in here. So you can see right here, this surface actually continues all the way up. But what I wanted to do is kind of break it up so I can get, a good portion of it on this side, and then I can come from the top and get another good portion of it. So what I did is just did a surface break in there. If I come in here and do select other, you can see I got my surface break right there, grabbing that surface. So I'm going to do a show on here for you guys, but it's a little tough to see because it's kind of, I got two surfaces kind of overlapping each other. So what we're kind of working on is, this area right here, and as it starts to Y off, but up to that section point going there, and then this front area face right here. So with any roughing strategy that we do, we can put in a wall offset in there. So this part was programmed in metric. So we got 0.5 millimeters as a wall offset, if you would per se, since we're using a roughing strategy. Using a 16 millimeter lollipop cutter, nothing really major there. And like I said, when you guys go to select tools, you're only going to get two different options. We got lollipop cutter and a ball nose end mill. So those are only two options in there. I'm trying to get them to add in there the straight flute end mill just for a roughing strategy. So they're trying to put that together as we speak and trying to get the ball rolling on that, just so we can have a little bit more aggressive roughing tools to get in there. But with that adaptive step over, it takes out a lot of the hard work on that cutter, especially if you're using a lollipop cutter. Okay, levels. Same as normal, we're just do parallel to X, got a cylinder with a radius, so not really much we have to change in here. This is actually just default numbers that I've chosen in there. Toolpath parameters, pretty much the same thing as what we've been seeing for the last couple months here with HSS and 5-axis. You got your step over, so we have a 5 millimeter step over. We also have a step down, so stepping down into there, we can kind of fine tune that tool path just a little bit more. Now, where we get into the good side of things is on the sorting. So let me kind of get this part panned around for you guys here. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. So the output type, do we want to work on the bottom, which would be the bottom of that port? And it's all related off your coordinate system. So if you think of up on the top is going to be your top port, and then you got, towards the bottom of the coordinate system, this is going to be your bottom port. Same thing, if I go back to this part right here, you'll see this would be, the top portion of our port, and this would be the bottom portion of our port over here. So we want to start at the bottom, and so here's our different options. We can do both. We can do from top and bottom. We can do the top, which we'll actually do, or we can do the bottom to get this bottom cleared out. You also have the option to do a rollover edge. This one honestly I've never really used before, and the only reason why is because I've told it to go 50% past my top. So as it's kind of going in there with my my little section that I sectioned off here, I'm telling it to go past that by 50%. So with the machine to option here is I can do up to a midpoint. I can do maximum for top, so it's going to go in there as far as it possibly can without hitting the shank on the port. Or I can do the maximum for bottom, which we're going to do here, or we can do user defined, and you can just tell it how far to go in there. But for this one, we're actually going to do maximum for bottom right here. We got your cut direction. You guys can put a ramp angle in there if you want. Now, I hate to do this, but completely switching tracks right here. For those of you guys that use profile and just simple 2D profile, when you guys use the helical feature in there, you'll notice that we just have a step down. We don't have an actual ramp angle. Would you guys like to see the option for a ramp angle or a step down value? This kind of came up end of last week, and I've turned it in, and they've asked if customers would like that or just leave it the way. So I got a couple of yeses in there. So okay, so like I said, I apologize, this is completely off subject here, but so when you guys, and for those of you guys that are kind of curious what I'm talking about here, let me just add a profile operation. If we go to technology, oh, it's grayed out. If we go to technology, you can do a helical option right here. And then the only way to kind of set the helical is to step down. So if you do 100 thou, for every revolution, it's going to go down 100 thou, but you have no control over the angle. So what we're thinking about doing and adding in here is doing a step down, or have a little checkbox right here to do a angle instead of a step down. So yes. Okay, so I got quite a few yeses in here, so we will get those added in there for you guys. And like I said,
and I'll even add a yes to the vote there. It sounds like a nice option to add that.
Yeah, and like I said, guys, you know, we want to make this cam is you know, best use for you guys. So this came up from my idea from a customer. Want to get that implemented in, and want your guys' feedback on that too. So we will be adding that in there. Okay, so we were under the sorting. So I'm telling it to start at the bottom, go maximum that I possibly can go from the bottom. Tool axis control, not much in here at all. It's taking all the guesswork out for you, and what it's basically going to do is kind of keep that tool in there and leaving, so it's not going to gouge against the wall. And that's where we come into the gouge check here, is I'm telling it to not gouge into any of the faces, but I can also do a check surfaces. If I do a check surfaces, I'm telling it not to kind of go into these surfaces areas up here, because I want to come back and attack that from the side, or attack that from the top side. And then I can put a clearance in there, you know, how much you want to put in there, or sorry, not clearance, a tolerance in there. But even with this turned off right here, is it's still going to look at your shank of your tool and what you're cutting with to make sure that we can get as far in that port as absolutely possible. I did skip over the linking, just not much in here at all for you guys. So we can do start from home position or return from home position, but that's about it for us. So let's see what this looks like here. And I'm just do a 3D tool here with the host CAD, and we'll slow it down. So just kind of roughing it out, and you'll see it's going to get in there absolutely as far as possible without gouging that shank or hitting any gouging surfaces all the way through there. Let me play this through Solid Verify. We can see that tool kind of rocking around a little bit more in there. All right, so let's play this through here. And as we're going straight in there, we're not doing much angular rotations, but as we get deeper in there, you can kind of see, let me slow it down a little bit, you can kind of see the tool wiggling around with that lollipop cutter. Let me turn off my holder for you guys. There's a good view. So keeping that tool holder away, getting as deep as possible in there. here. And you can see the deeper it gets in there, the more it's, you know, doing the 5-axis head rotation to get that tool as deep as possible. Okay, so that's it for that front port. So now what we need to do is a finishing. So all I did is just did a save and copy. And the only thing I switched over was my spiral finish here. So I switched it from, you know, roughing to spiral finish. Another thing I changed up is, oh, I thought I had a 0 offset in here. I'll kind of leave this at 5,000 just to save a little bit of calculation time here. We have a fairly large part here. And it takes, since we're kind of, it takes one entire pass going around and does a gouge check. But, well, let's just do it. Shouldn't take too long. Now, with that being said, Tim, I guess I'm going to kind of push this one on you a little bit. If you have simultaneous 5-axis, is port machining with that, or is that an additional module that comes with it, or how do we have that set up for?
I'm about 10 seconds behind you in being able to answer that, because as I was watching what you were doing, and I thought, I'm going to do a little investigating on the backside. But yes, what you're actually using is the port machining module, which is not included with any of our packages. It is an entirely separate, standalone add-on module that's not included in a package. So even if you have 5-axis Pro, this is something they added about 1.5 years ago, I think it was.
Okay.
If I'm right on the timing. But the simultaneous 5-axis port machining module is sold independently of any package.
Gotcha. So hopefully, Jason knew that one already too. Additional. You must have checked on it already.
and Jason, that's a recognizable name from my past. So it's good to see you, Jason. It's been a long time.
Oh, you even bought it. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so you can see it didn't take too long to do that calculation here, but I switched over my offset to 0. Another thing I did is I switched my step over. Instead of doing 5 millimeters, I am now doing 1 millimeter step over. So if we kind of get a kind of straight down shot in here, doing a nice spiral, kind of starting from the center, and then it comes in there, arcs in, and then just does a nice spiral pattern going around. So simple, easy to use for the most part here. The biggest thing, I guess, what I found programming this part is depending on the model. Now, this part is sent over as a imported. So I had to do a couple fill surfaces, and some of the spots I did a fill surfaces is you'll see on this part right here, I had a hole in there that I just wanted to kind of fill up right here. So I wasn't catching that, and then I just wanted to create a break in there. So this part is not, you won't find this part anywhere, but if you guys would like this part for an example, let me know. I'll send it over to you and get that over to you. There is if you guys go to your tools, SolidCAM, let me get out of this operation here. Under the Getting Started Examples, there is a port machining part that is similar, a little bit different, and they use a little bit different toolpath, so you can also use this one as a reference also for those guys that wanted to know more about it. But okay.
And prior to us coming up with the probe module by itself, you can do 5-axis machining and get ports machined.
Oh, absolutely.
But the port machining module is a much cleaner, easier way to get it done. So that's the benefit and why they added it.
Yeah, we had
and Jason's agreeing.
We actually, it comes from customer requests for you guys, and kind of why we came up with the port machining and the multi-blade machining. Just makes as we're kind of coming in the spiral face here, if we were doing 5-axis, we'd really have to play a lot with the tool axis control, lead and lag angles, following, ISO lines, all that stuff, where this takes all the guesswork out for you guys. So, okay, any questions on the front port right here? Got a nice roughing and finishing there. I don't see anything popping up. Okay, so now let's kind of start on the top side of things. So we're going to do our machine surfaces, just doing offset strategy here. And we're working on the left port right here. So I told to go down to there. Using a same cutter, 16 millimeter ball end mill. Levels not going to worry about. Toolpath parameters, doing a max step over of 3 in there. A little bit different. I mean, I could switch that back over to 5, but just doing a step over a 3 for right now. Now, what I switched it is starting from the top, and then I want to go down absolute maximum as possible from the top. So it's going to try to go in there as deep as possible, coming from the top, shooting its way down. Like we talked about, tool axis control, not much in here. Linking, not much in here also, just because a lot of this stuff is all kind of implemented automatically. And then just did a gouge check against that surface that we basically just cut prior. So got these surfaces in here selected. Hopefully everybody can kind of see that. It's kind of hard to see. It's a blue and gray shaded there, but okay. So we got everything roughed out here. Let's take a peek. Okay, kind of get a decent view for you guys here. Play it through. Like I said, that initial first part, we're not going to see a whole lot of the 5-axis head moving around or the trunnion moving around, but as we get deeper in there, you can see, let me do a kind of a top-down view for you guys. You can see what's really all going on down there. And really it gets close with that shank, but it knows that it cannot touch it. So speed it up here a little bit. So getting down there as far as possible that we can get at. So like I said before, all we have to do is do a save and copy. Switch it over to spiral finish here. Got it offset at 0. Let me just check my toolpath parameter. No, so we got set at 1 millimeter step down. Kept everything top. Do the maximum for top. Simulate this here. We should get a nice toolpath going through here. Let me turn off the holder for you guys. Now, one thing I tried doing is, since we got this cylinder head right here, my thinking is, since we have everything kind of lined up, I could just do a mirror and do a mirror toolpath over here. But it doesn't look like it's quite working like it should. I tried everything in my power to get it to mirror over, and my plan was to mirror these toolpaths over to the opposite side here, and then we could just do a transform, and we're only doing a 2-cylinder here, but if you guys are running, 4 cylinders for a V8 here, where that would be real helpful. But as of right now, unfortunately, we would have to program this side too, but all we have to do is just do a save and copy and then grab those surfaces that we needed. But then we could do a transform once we have all 4 of these done and transform it over to cylinder to cylinder. So that's something that I'm going to bring up to the guys and see if they can get that added in there. And just finishing up here. Okay.
And Kevin, we got a question here about the machine control.
Oh, okay. So machine control is kind of more dependent on post processor. And we kind of covered this a little bit with the 5-axis here. You guys can set it up. I don't have a machine set up for this Hermel machine right now. But what we can do is, we can do, right now I have no limits on. Now, if you needed to set up rotational limits and stuff like that for your indexer, or you're allowing, for, that your head to rewind or unwind, here's where you kind of go to kind of set up those. So you have machine limits right here, and then you also have your start angle type. So, we can provide second angle, and I don't know a whole lot. Maybe I should just do a quick video, tomorrow, kind of explaining what the start angle ones are here. I don't know a whole lot just because it's so post dependent on your post processor of what we pick here. But we can do, choose between two solutions, provide first angle, second angle, and you can also set up a value for the angle there. So I don't want to give you guys a bad answer on this, the start angle and stuff right here, and what's going on right here. So let me do a little bit more digging on this for you guys, and I will have a video tomorrow, or let's see what day is tomorrow, Thursday, on what's kind of going on in here. Like I said, a lot of this is all dependent on, what they've set up in the post, and the limits that you guys can do. And I know we can exceed limits just to get that particular cut, to get your machine to go that way. But I will do a full video covering what's under this advanced and regular tab right here in the next coming days, or actually myself or Mark. Mark does a great job on doing some of our shorter videos, so myself or Mark will create one. So if that helps you, Jason, we'll get that tweaked in there for you. But I know some of it in here, I just don't know all of it, and I don't want to give you guys a wrong answer. So.
And Kevin, I don't know if you could see Jason's comment there. He's primarily looking for the pole options or under the advanced tab.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot in here underneath the advanced tab. Yeah.
Are the post processor guys actually populating that pull down list, or is that core from the software?
It's actually kind of correlating with the VMID. So based off of the VMID of rotations, and what the machine limits are, is kind of based off of what's kind of populated in here. Now, Jason, when you're using port machining, are you coming in here and having to change a lot of this stuff? Only
pole positions.
Okay, so right here, freeze up around pole. Yeah, let me get. I kind of completely overlooked the machine controls when I was getting ready for this class. So I will, like I said, we'll dig into this and get you guys a 100% for sure answer on kind of the pole handling. And we'll also kind of cover, the move list writer, so we can set up no limits. This is kind of being pulled from, this machine limits right here. But I'll get you more information on that for you guys. So I was under the impression that a lot of the stuff in here, was by default is good majority of the time, but we'll get it figured out.
And Jason, I'll touch base with Steve to talk to the guy that works on your post, and we'll kind of coordinate that together with what Kevin's going to put together for us to make sure we get good, appropriate information for you.
And Jason, if you want, I know you got my email address. Shoot me an email with a port machining that you've done with your post, and then we can actually do a video with your post processor kind of showing what all the options do. Or if any of you guys that are watching here, if you guys send me a file with that post, can kind of go through all those for you too. Okay, so now the only one we really have left here is the right side port. Let me do a show here. Kind of rotate around and just doing the right side. Pretty much the exact same thing over here. I guess what I could have done almost is just done a transform and just transforming it over with a distance, but usually, from my understanding with engines, an exhaust port and intake port are usually going to be just a hair different in size and stuff like that. So we got a separate operation for it, using the same cutter, using the offset method. Levels kind of keeping the same. Toolpath parameters, stepping over every 3 millimeters here. Same thing, starting at the top, and I want to go down as deep as possible for the top. And then the gouge check, pretty much the same gouge check as what we've done before. And then the last one here is just kind of finishing up using that spiral finish here, and got an offset of 0 in there. Toolpath parameters, set it up so it's going down every 1 millimeter. Jason, since you've used this quite a bit on the machine, what are you noticing for step overs to get a decent finish with these ports? I know with engine building and stuff like that, the smoother that you guys have it, the more better performance you're going to get. But I know they have honing tools that they come down in there, so just kind of curious on you know, what you guys use for scallop. I'll let him write in if he has anything. And then sorting, like I said, pretty much all I did is just did a save and copy right here. These are pretty helpful too. If I'm over here, you know, I can see that it's just trying to work on the top. If I click both, it's going to try to squeeze down and get down far as oops, thought I had it both. It's going to try to get down and through as deep as absolute possible for you guys. And then if we're just trying to work on the bottom here, it's just going to try to work on that bottom half, getting up as high as possible. So let's go ahead and simulate this here. Cutting the lot in tool steel, not automotive, but 10 thou is sweet. Okay. Just updating my stock here. Going to do a solid verify on some of those. Okay. So let's play this through here. Let me get the tool holder off for you guys. Get this zoomed around here in the right direction. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this. Something, I don't think if it's just a default install or if it's a new install, seems like a lot of these parts are kind of coming in under hybrid mode. That's going to kind of give you a transparent, and we can change our transparency in the visual properties right here. But one real quick way to kind of switch back and forth is just switch it back over to render mode, and that's going to give you back to a solid model. Now it looks like this one I'm not getting any transparency on, but it seems like with that hybrid, it kind of throws off a little bit of just not a fan of it. So I like to see a solid model. So if you guys don't want to have to go in and change your settings up, change the visual properties, take out the transparency portion of it, you guys can just click over onto this button right here too. So hopefully I'm getting a decent angle for you guys to kind of see how that tool is really working around inside there, keeping that shaft away from that that valve seat right there. that's about it for port machining, guys. Do we have any other questions other than the advanced under the machine controls? Any questions on kind of how it works? Anything else you guys wanted to see? I didn't do any rest roughing on this particular one, and I also didn't do a plunge finish, just because I wanted to get this part as realistic as possible, and I think for something like this, I don't see a need for using the plunge method. You can kind of see what it's doing right here. It's kind of just doing the long lines going around instead of doing circular lines kind of going around. Yeah, any questions, guys? Any concerns? Anything else you guys wanted to see? Everybody eating their kids' candy right now? No, I don't see anything popping up. Well, guys, I guess if we don't have any other questions on that, like I said, if you guys would like this part, definitely let me know via email, and I will gladly send this part off to you. And then to kind of go over the machine controls in the advanced area here, we'll just make a separate shorter video kind of explaining what each one of these do. I'll have to do a little bit of digging and investigation and find out what these do for you guys, and kind of best way to kind of set this up is a more advanced, I guess, port machining video here. And then miscellaneous parameters is just going to be your miscellaneous M00 stuff in there. But yeah, Tim, you got anything else to add?
I can't think of anything from my side. I haven't had a chance to really see this port machining stuff, and you know, looking at it as an add-on module, it's kind of difficult to, you know, discuss. You got customers who actually do this type of work all the time, but they're using the traditional style of 5-axis Toolpath. It's kind of nice to see a video here that we're going to be able to have to kind of show the shorter workflow, you know, not having to go through all those options.
Sure. Now, let me just do this. Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. The port machining that you use it for, was it worth the additional add-on? I must say it's a blessing. Okay, so that answers that question. Thanks, Jason. So for those of you guys that are kind of thinking about it, you know, on the fence about it, you know, and if you guys, you know, that are, you know, thinking about getting it, or you don't have it and want to just kind of try it out, let us know, let me know, let your account managers know. We can let you try it out for, you know, 30 days and see what you think of it, and try it out on your parts, and maybe it might help out. You know, or if you guys just are unsure of it, what we can do too is, you know, contact your account manager, tell them you just want to see a demo of it, and we'll do a full-on demo with one of your guys' parts, and kind of show you how it will benefit, you know, taking it from, you know, instead of doing 5-axis, switching it over to port machining, and how much easier and time savings it's going to save you in the long run. So, but all right, guys. Well, that if we don't have any other questions, kind of wrap it up here for tonight. Next week we'll be doing the multi-blade functionality in here. This is another kind of specific module just for doing turbine blades. Takes out a lot of the hard work of, I know we did do or Justin did do a turbine blade using the simultaneous 5-axis, but now we're going to show you how easy it is to use the multi-blade functionality. And then I think after that, I hate to always do this to you guys, but I always forget what the next class is coming up here. So let me just do a quick peek here and see.
And I'll just comment on that too as well there, Kevin, regarding multi-blade and port machining. You know, these are two things that kind of, you know, shorten the workflow or the steps you have to go through to get some toolpath on the part, you know. So that's, I think that's kind of what Jason's referring to is, okay, I'm starting from zero and I just have to start putting toolpath on here and controlling how the tool is going to interact with everything else around it. Port machining and the multi-blade module are kind of, you know, shortcuts to get you something, you know, getting a toolpath on the screen a lot quicker. so then you can kind of work with it from that point. So, good topics, and Kevin, great class tonight. I'll let you kind of cover what you're talking about here with the next classes.
Yeah, and I just want to read Jason's comment here. It does help with this kind of stuff. Time saver, much cleaner tool path, and easier management of tool entry and exit. So yeah, you don't have to play around with all the angles and stuff in there. So next week we're going to be doing the multi-blade, and then I think after that, I still got to figure out if we're going to go to the turning side of things and get into turning and mill turn, or start tackling some of the great ideas that you guys sent over to me and kind of put those together too. We'll kind of play it by ear, and once you guys see these pop up, I'm sure you guys get the emails too. Definitely sign up for those classes. But if you guys like the software, I know I've showed this in a few past ones, but tell your buddy down the street, and if you get them into a demo, you guys get a $100 gift card. Normally it's a $50 one, but the CEO of the company gave me the special privileges to give you guys a $100 one. And then if they buy the software, you guys get 20% of that sale. So it's a pretty sweet deal. The only thing you guys have to do is just give us a name and phone number of the guy, and like I said, easy money for you guys. But just trying to get the word out there for everybody. But I guess that kind of wraps up things, and this will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you guys need to watch it or kind of refresh it, or if I rambled on too fast for you guys can kind of go back and watch it again there. But I guess with that being said, thanks again for joining the class. Thanks so much for all the great comments and suggestions in there. We had quite the chat going on tonight. And we will see you guys next week.
Thanks a lot, Kevin, and thank you everybody for attending. And we appreciate your business and your continued successes with the software. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.